Accused of stabbing and killing a 6-year-old Woodford County boy is now walking free. Last night, we told you that Ronald Exantus has been granted parole. He was serving a 20-year sentence tied to the 2015 death of Logan Tipton.
Tipton's family and many members of the public are confused as to how a man accused of murder could be released from jail so soon.
How is it that a man convicted of killing a 6-year-old child with a knife, breaking into someone's house, ending the life of a 6-year-old child, can be out of prison in less than 10 years? If you hadn't heard this, y'all, just be warned. It's disturbing on many levels, but just check this out. And make sure you stick around to the end where the father really goes into more detail as to how this whole incident severely, for obvious reasons, impacted him and his entire family.
WKYT's Samantha Valentino has reaction from the family as well as a forensic psychologist to explain the case.
December 7th, 2015.
It's the day Logan Tipton's life came to a tragic end, and when the Tipton family first heard the name Ronald Exantus.
Exantus broke into my home and stabbed my 6-year-old son to death.
This week, the name Ronald Exantus came up again in a phone call the Tipton family says they never wanted to receive. After being sentenced to 20 years in 2018, Exantus has now been granted parole.
The justice system is all about the criminals and it's never about the victim.
And just think of it, he was found guilty in 2018. So here it is, 2018 of murder. He was found guilty of a 6-year-old. And here it is in 2025, and he's out and about. The only thing stopping him from possibly doing what he did again is maybe if he continues taking his medication, because that's why he received so much leniency, I'm assuming. So we're hoping he continues to take his medication. If that doesn't have additional side effects of psychosis or something like that, because you just never know with a lot of these medications. Crazy story.
My grandson was just 6 years old. He never got to grow up, they didn't give him justice.
While this tragedy happened in Woodford County, the trial was held here in Fayette County. It's where a jury found Ronald Exantus guilty but mentally ill of stabbing Logan Tipton's 2 sisters and his father, but not guilty by reason of insanity of murdering 6-year-old Logan.
One of the hardest things I ever had to do in my life was come home and tell my kids that he was innocent from the murder. And they're young. They're saying, well, how is he innocent from the murder? We watched him do it.
Dr. Dustin Wygant is an EKU professor and the executive director of Integrated Behavioral Health.
The jury felt that there was sufficient evidence that his mental state at the time that the murder took place was sufficient to find him not guilty by reason of insanity.
In its opinion upholding Exantus's conviction, the Kentucky Supreme Court found each count could be considered individually, and the jury could have reasonably believed Exantus was lucid at points during the times of the attacks.
The jury must have concluded that for whatever reason in that separate time period, we're talking about a single kind of event, but that separate time period, that there wasn't sufficient evidence to find him legally insane.
In Woodford County, Samantha Valentino, WKYT.
The Tipton family says they were notified that Exantus would serve 6 months of parole in Florida. The Kentucky Department of Corrections tells us that he will remain under probation and parole supervision until the expiration of his sentence, which is listed as June of next year. We asked the Department of Corrections whether Exantus will be spending that time in Florida. We have not received a response on that yet.
Absolutely nutty, y'all. Just imagine, just for a moment, that you were the father, the mom, the sibling, and you hear that. And a lot of people will say, oh, you know what, this happens to Black folks all the time as far as getting the shaft in the criminal justice system. And I would say that, yeah, that was a common occurrence at one point, going back decades ago. But in more recent years, in light of critical race theory, critical legal theory, where the law is intentionally bent in order to favor minorities, that's not the case anymore. I'm not saying it never happens, but it's not the norm anymore. Nowadays, we have many people sitting as judges who will favor the criminal over the victim. That's just how it is. And this is happening all over the country. All you have to do is scroll through my timeline, some of my older videos, where you'll see me talk about these issues. There was one in Texas, I think it was in the Houston area, where a guy who had a rap sheet a mile long was released. I think he was locked up at one point for domestic violence, released, got out, and killed his girlfriend or wife, or they had some relation together. He got out and he killed her. And this same judge has been found guilty of being lenient towards a lot of these folks on multiple occasions. This is nothing new, y'all. And we have to understand that things have changed. And at times, I'm really thankful to be, I'm really thankful to live in a country where we oftentimes have a fair legal system. But when you see situations like this, it just makes you want to scratch your head and wonder. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. But before you go, check out the video above. I think you'll appreciate it.